Welcome to Bitstorm, a comedy game design podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm Ben Slinger, and with me, as always, is the one, the only, well, there might be more, I don't know, Trevor Scott.
There are a couple more.
Yeah, you search for him on
There's a
Facebook.
famous writer, there's a famous, NFL player. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm probably the least, the least important.
The least famous, the least Googleable.
Yeah.
The only other one for the main other one for my name is there's like a BMX rider in the UK called Ben Slinger, and he usually pops up at the top of a Google search.
I thought it was you. I just thought that you, while you were living in Canada, that you just went a little bit crazy.
Hopped across the pond.
After your divorce, you just went and became a BMX rider, and then you
just for a little while.
Then you went back into Canada.
Got the dad bod back and had some babies. And
well, I've somewhat got the dad bod now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like 16 Ks down.
Nice. All right. Well, let's get into some click pitch. Do you want to tell the listening audience what click pitch is?
No.
Well, then fuck them.
No, I can do that. So Click Bitch is a game where we each have a random word generator in front of us. On the count of 3, 2, 1, click. We click refresh. We take those words, we throw them at each other. We come up with a game design, then we throw it away.
Yeah.
And we start all over again.
That's pretty much it. So let's jump
pretty
right
concise
into that game-like, get a bit game wet.
Get wet.
Get wet. 3, 2, 1, click. Angel.
Currency.
Well, my mind immediately actually went to Angel, as in the lead title of the show with the same name, spin-off from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Just because, I don't know, have we ever done a Buffy game? Maybe, but not many.
No. Whereas my mind went to, what if there was a character who came across a strange coin in the street.
Okay.
Picked it up, and there was a strange aura around it. It looked like it had like little halo or something like that.
Okay.
And it turns out that it's actual angel currency. So currency of the angels.
Yeah.
Was never supposed to have made it down onto Earth, but one of the angels who's down here sort of
I was gonna say, is it next to a dead body with a head wound, and it literally fell like someone dropped it from heaven? And it killed
I was sort of thinking that
landed.
it sort of just came out of someone's wallet, but
right. Oh, wait, who keeps coins in their wallet? Come on, nobody actually does that, right?
Change pocket thing.
Okay.
I don't know. I just think that could have some good, cool repercussions in the fact that maybe this character, by having this coin, is getting extremely lucky.
There's there's some narrative juice there. When you said that the coin has an aura, I immediately thought that, has a halo. I immediately thought that one side has a halo, and then you flip it over, and it like has these little floating like devil horns. And that by flipping it, you somehow, either make a moral, decision. Basically a conscience coin. But that was just, I liked the visual of it.
Yeah. I kind of like the idea that maybe this thing is asserting some influence on the world and the character, in the fact that like he's getting somewhat corrupted by it.
Well, you know what?
And as he's using it, like it's gradually turning from a halo to like it's kind of getting thorny looking things until finally it turns into a full on devil horns. As the corruption of his soul.
I don't mind that. I feel like we've been doing a lot of narrative stuff lately, and look, a lot of it's been really good. But I wouldn't mind heading down just a more mechanically interesting place. And so what I was sort of thinking is it'd be quite interesting to try to come up with a game where flipping a coin is like one of your main, if not only, methods of interaction, and that it's literally random, as in the game. It's not that at a certain point in the story you'll always flip yourself. Like the game has to respond to the coin flip. Now, whether that is through some sort of narrative thing, or if we could sort of come up with something that's a bit more procedural, where there are systems in place to kind of respond to the results of a coin flip in certain contexts.
So, what sort of view are you talking?
I was thinking first person for some reason. I just kind of like that idea of seeing the, maybe you're almost always. It's like I was almost picturing it as an FPS, but all you've got is the coin.
Flipping it into angels' faces.
Well, no. Well, no. This is the thing. It's not about like literally hurting people with it. It's that somehow this coin has the power to like make a decision and make and you don't actually have the power to choose that decision, but whichever side it lands on, like it affects that decision in some way. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, like a first person, but more of a kind of, I don't know, walk around and. I mean, I guess it comes down to the sorts of decisions that can be made.
And what sort of decisions can be made?
Well, that's what I'm thinking about and leaving up to you to hope that you'll jump in with something.
Do I push this person in front of this speeding taxi?
Well, see,
yes.
This is our problem with heading down too many narrative routes, because it does become very hard to like actually push interesting mechanics into it then. And as much as I like the world building stuff that we do, sometimes it's fun to think of how, of how you could make a game powered by just coin flips.
But when we're spending the whole time going, and not actually coming up with anything.
Yeah, well, that's when we throw it away in 3, 2, 1, click.
Because I reckon we're going to have to do that. Whereas with a narrative, we could have gone further.
Well, I wasn't feeling the
Just
narrative
saying.
either, so.
And you've been listening to the last episode of Bitstorm, as we decide that we can't work any longer with each other. As we've had a good run, 123 episodes.
Yeah, that was it.
Whatever it is.
The last one. All right, 3, 2, 1, click.
3, 2, 1, click. Fountain.
Bean fountain. Game done. It speaks for itself. Bean fountain.
Okay, so. I've got an idea.
All right.
You're a pitcher.
You're a picture, okay?
A pitcher, as in a baseball pitcher.
Okay. You're not like hanging on a wall somewhere. That could be its own interesting little mechanic, but no, okay, go on.
It's somewhat a first-person shooter in the fact that you go around and throw baseballs at people.
Okay.
I.e. beanballs.
Yeah.
And to add a little narrative hook, you're looking for the fountain of youth.
So, okay. All right. I'll yes and that. So you're a baseball player looking for the fountain of youth. How far down the sort of first person shooter combat-ish stuff do we want to go? Are you literally just kind of running around throwing baseballs at people, or is that more of a few and far between kind of action?
Well, I think the reason why he's looking for the fountain of youth is because his shoulder's actually shot.
Okay.
And he thinks that by drinking from this fountain, that he will regain his strength.
Heyday.
And yeah.
Yeah.
Because, like a lot of professional sportsmen out there, he didn't have a backup.
Yeah. So he's 29 and he's fucked his shoulder. No, we can make him a bit older than that. Is he like a sort of a well-known baseball player from back in the day, or is he someone who like sort of came up to the major leagues but then did his shoulder in and like didn't go very far and he's
I like that sort of character. You're one that didn't quite make it all the way, so it's not about having been stupid with the money, just that his one big shot at the big time to make all the money.
Got cut short.
Got cut short. So
is this recently after that then, or is this like 40 years later and now he's sort of trying to undo his biggest regret of fucking up that chance?
Yeah, I kind of like the idea that it is that 40 years later. So being able to, find that fountain of youth, get to be a bit younger.
I'm kind of getting an Up vibe, like Pixar.
Yeah.
Just that sort of old guy going off on an adventure. Maybe his partner has just died. I'm
picturing that it starts out and literally the character's just bagging groceries. He's got like the vest on and he's basically been a bag boy at a grocery, because it's how far he's fallen, and
well,
then,
it doesn't even necessarily have to be a bad thing. It's just this is where he ended up. Yeah.
Like he didn't have any skills to do much else.
Yeah. I don't think it should be like, oh, look at this depressing old man bagging groceries. I think, he's probably kind of cheery. He gets along with his coworkers. Like, he enjoys his job. But maybe there's something that triggers, or maybe it's just he, something gives him the direction to the Fountain of Youth. Like, he's going to, something sets him off on this quest, and he realizes, oh, I could find the Fountain of Youth, and what's my biggest regret? Not being able to play Major League Baseball.
Yeah, so I think in a sort of like an up way that I think one of the you can keep on going back to some things about when he was younger and just play little snippets of like vignettes sort of thing of when he was younger, and just sort of put out there that there was a like his older brother or something like that was actually out there searching for it.
Right.
And then, one day he sees this younger guy come up to him and say, "Brother, remember me? I found the Fountain of Youth.
Okay.
Come with me." And then, they sort of go off on this journey together.
Oh, so they're together. Picturing, because I was thinking, just to take it back a sec, it could be interesting to go full on Pixar up style, and you kind of, the prologue is you play through sections of his life. So you get a few little vignettes where you do get to play baseball, like as you're sort of rising through the ranks, and you see the celebrations of the team, and you see yourself get, drafted into I don't know how it works, drafted into a Major League Baseball team, and then you sort of see the big downfall of, doctors telling you that you'll never play baseball again, and the sadness that comes with that. But then it sort of builds up again as you make the most of the rest of your life, and you just become a real kind of family man. And, maybe you do, and within this, you sort of get introduced to the brother who is off there, just like the family thinks he's off there just, being an idiot, right? Like they don't believe that the Fountain of Youth exists. They think he's chasing a dream.
Yep.
And in the meantime, he, gets married and maybe has some kids, or maybe not, depending on how we want to go. And then you drop that fucking hammer again, and his partner dies, and that's when the sort of real game starts. Is you've just seen his super content life as a bagger at a grocery store, and he loves his work and whatever. But now it's just grey, and everything sucks, and he's sad, and it's horrible. And by now the players are bawling.
Mm-hmm.
And then you finally give him the hope of, and I'm going to find the Fountain of Youth.
So I think when you get to this, I think it's an island in the Pacific.
Okay.
And there's some sort of boat or plane crash that happens on the way. So you're sort of stranded on the outskirts of the island.
Yep.
Separated from your brother. All you've got is a baseball bat and a whole heap of balls. They're the only weapons that you sort of get.
Why did you bring them? Just for nostalgia's sake.
I think it just so happens that your brother had given you the lucky baseball bat that you gave him earlier on in the prologue.
Yeah. Oh, I like the idea that there's that he's. Yeah, you gave him that baseball bat after your injury, and you're sort of the only one who supported him on his ridiculous quest. Yeah. And it's become his lucky baseball bat, and he's got all sorts of inscriptions and stuff all over it. He's written notes on it and scratched them into it. And they're going to be clues for how to, follow it and get there.
So I'm picturing a first person sort of thing.
Yeah.
And when you sort of get to the island, it's kind of not quite a survival game as such, but I do like the idea that you know that you're not the only one on this island.
Mm-hmm.
And the clues are a bit few and far between. It's almost like an open world sort of thing.
So almost a bit of a, I guess like those survival games, maybe not the full on, you're going to die if you don't collect all the wood and food and whatever in the area, but it is more. Do you think you're having to like build up a bit of a shelter and a bit of a sort of home base?
I'm thinking that you do need some sort of a home base, but it's not one of those things that, you know, your hunger's continually going down and you need to find the clean water and that sort of stuff. But
maybe you've got like a day-night cycle with some, you know, some enemies, also some challenges on a sort of day-to-day game loop, while you're at the same time like tracking down these clues and having them revealed in different ways.
I'm picturing that one thing that I keep on missing in all these games, and what I'd love them to have, is like realistic beard physics. In the fact that depending on how much time goes in the day, depends on how much the beard actually grows.
Okay. And if you shave, like, you can choose to shave or not.
If you've been able to find something to shave, and therefore you've been able to find a mirror, then you can shave. But other than that, like, as you go, like, your beard's going to gradually grow longer and your hair's going to grow longer.
If you don't have a mirror, how do you even know, since it's first person?
Exactly.
I love the idea that for whatever reason you managed to avoid finding any reflective surface for the first half of the game, and the bit, you know, you finally find a mirror and you realize that the beard is just down to your belly button.
Well,
because it's just
could you imagine, like, your character is actually in shock when they see themselves for the first time with like this massive beard, and they're like, "Wow, I knew it was there," and they can make sort of mention of, you know, like,
I love the idea. You talked about
I got food in my beard.
You talked about beard physics. So like, once it sort of gets long enough, you see like your shadow, and you know you've kind of got that waving around there. And once it gets really long, like you can look down and you'll see it kind of on your chest.
What I really like about that is just too often in games is your character just completely clean shaven all the way through, and it's like no. If they're there and they're there for X number of days, like as the day-night cycle is going, your beard's going to get longer and your hair's going to get ratty. And
there are a couple that did it. I know Red Dead Redemption 2 had very specific beard growing stuff. And on a more simplistic level, Don't Starve, which is a very hardcore survival sort of game in that way, does have beard growing for certain characters, and you can then shave the beard and use those clippings for recipes.
Oh,
I think you can make like a beard hat or something. Okay, so how much does the baseball like pitching come into the gameplay? Like, is this your main method of defense from predators at the beginning?
I think the baseball bat and the balls are literally the only thing that you have at the start. So you kind of have to get really good at defending yourself by throwing balls at animals and that sort of stuff. So it's somewhat...
You got to be careful with that bat, given we've established it's also all the clues.
Yeah, you don't want to snap the bat.
Yeah. I feel they shouldn't just be beating wild animals with it.
Yeah, I do kind of like the idea that if you're not careful, like what could actually happen at the end of the first third of the game is that the bat breaks, and you lose like a vital clue through wear and tear.
And maybe then the only way to continue is just like, oh, now I really have to find my brother, who up to this point like has been lost on the island. Because, you know, you were going to be like, well, I'll just meet him there.
Yeah.
I kind of like the idea then that, like the main character was a pitcher. Well, we said that. But maybe part of the way the brother convinced you is he had like a balm or something made from the waters of the Fountain of Youth. And that lets
rubbed into your shoulder.
Yeah, like that for a temporary amount of time gives you your old like throwback. It gives you your pitching arm back.
It's a throwback.
A throwback to getting your throwback.
It's a throwback to Far Cry 1.
No, so you can fucking do damage with that thing now. Then, right? You're like firing balls at 150 kilometers an hour or whatever.
Yeah, that
but
could
you've got a limited supply. Yeah,
and you got to go collect them if you. You know,
you've got a limited supply of balls, but you've also got a limited supply of the balm. That you know, otherwise your shoulder injury resets itself. Yeah.
Oh, I do kind of like the idea that this whole Fountain of Youth thing is one of these things that it's only temporary.
Oh, okay.
So if you actually, when you see your brother later on, he's kind of
aged,
old.
Mm-hmm.
He's back to his normal age, and it turns out that, you know, spending too much time away from the Fountain of Youth is actually, you know, it reverses the effects, because it's not just a one-time thing. You have to
keep drinking from it,
you have to keep drinking from it, and it becomes almost like an addiction sort of thing. So it's also almost talking about that, you know, this would be kind of performance enhancing, and the decision to actually live his life the way he is at the end would actually be
I kind of like the idea
that
the brother also becomes the antagonist then, because
he wants
to stay young. Whereas
wants to stay young and wants to be with his brother forever.
Yeah, whereas your character decides, like, no, it's not worth it. Basically.
Yeah, I like, you know, I could imagine this having some almost Far Cry-esque exploration.
Yeah, I could see that. I guess it comes down to...
The whole island's sort of open, and it's, you know, maybe 5Ks across sort of thing, but
I guess it comes down to what your kind of main
places.
game loop is as well. Like, is the main sort of challenge in this game, is the player literally having to figure out the clues? Like, is this almost a puzzle game where you're not really giving them, you know, you're not giving them markers on where to go, quest markers. They've just got this island in front of them, and they have to look at this bat and find landmarks and decode certain things, and, you know, as they progress and do unlock, you know, solve some of the clues, and you can set up, you know, bases closer to where they are and that sort of thing. But it's actually about learning the landscape and figuring out the landmarks and figuring out the clues.
When you said bases, I started thinking about, like, you've got to set up first base and second base and third base and home base.
Well, I like the idea that can be even one of the puzzles, or like...
I just like the idea now that the Phantom Youth was right near the start, right at, you know, you had to go all the way around and go all
right at home
through
base.
all the different bases.
We can definitely throw some good baseball Easter eggs in there.
So I'm thinking, when you first arrive on the island, you sort of, like, there's this beach that sort of spans, you know, good, you know, 300, 400 meters that you're on.
Yeah.
And then it turns out that you're actually within, like, a valley sort of thing. So there's almost impassable cliffs around.
Okay.
So the start of the game, you're in sort of like this almost tutorial area that you've got to work out the clues to be able to, you know, get out and climb the mountains in this certain one area by basically piecing together a couple of clues.
Mm-hmm.
And then that sort of opens up the next sort of area that you can sort of explore, and you're going through these two different areas now, and then that opens up to the next one.
And then you realize
almost quadrants of the
and then you realize that
the
it's
mountain sort of thing.
Yeah, it's a baseball diamond. Yeah, well, I do like that idea then of just of having it almost be a survival / puzzle game. Where, the day-to-day is just, oh, well, you know, I've got this specific puzzle that I'm trying to solve, or this aspect of the clue. So, you know, I'm going to have to, you know, make a trek over to this part of the island with my telescope to view this from a certain angle to see that it matches up with this other thing or whatever, and that's going to point me in the right direction, or, you know, point me to the gap in the cliffs that has a trail going up to get to the next part. But I do like the idea of not, like, making that easy on the player. Like, it's just them solving the clues.
Yeah, and maybe even highlighting parts of the clues on the bat to make it easier to actually see, okay, this is the clue that I'm sort of looking at now, that my character's sort of honing in to say, oh yeah, this is the particular clue that I need to be focused on right now.
No, that's giving them too much. Just give them a bat with crap all over it and see and an open world, and they can find their way to the end. All right, I like it. 3 to a click.
Yep.
Feed.
Stale.
I mean, that makes me think of feeding birds or ducks, because that's who you generally feed, like, stale bread to or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
There could be or my mind's heading towards, and this is just stream of consciousness, I don't have an outcome here, heading towards like, can we do some sort of competitive, say like couch competitive game where you're having to like pull back and throw bread into a lake. Like the controls are sort of almost golf style, right? Like you aim your direction, you hit a button to start your arm swinging back, you hit it again to like launch it forward, and if you get it perfect, you'll get a really good shot. And well, I mean, you could make it as simple as you're just trying to feed as many ducks. You're trying to feed more ducks than the other person. But then you add things in, like if you add power-ups and stuff, like if you feed a duck the certain type of bread, then it fucking hulks out and kills some of the other ducks, or like scares them off or whatever. They can't come closer a certain while, so you can get more bread in that time. Maybe, you've got ways to make them go faster, or to bring more ducks in, so you've got more chance of your ducks or of your bread. Or well, that's it. Maybe like the bread can split up. And do you see where I'm going?
Now I'm trying to think of how would the Twitch integration actually work with this, because I know for a fact that our friend Calgar would jump at the chance of being able to play this game.
It's true. He does have a full-on sexual duck fetish. That is totally what it's about. I'm sure of it. Sure, Twitch integration. I mean, that could be around. Maybe they can vote to send. Maybe it's not just ducks, right? Maybe they can vote to send in a fucking swan, and you get more points if the swan eats your bread. And it could be, you could do things like, changing the size of the piece of bread you tear off means you can either throw it further or
you can crush ducks with it.
Like, yeah, you can, that's it. You've got a loaf, and you choose how much you want to tear off. And it could be just this whole thing, and you just throw it. Unfortunately, ducks can't eat it. But if a pelican comes along, then maybe it can take a whole loaf of bread, and you're going to get a lot of points.
So, I'm sort of seeing in my head like a story mode that's sort of happening alongside this.
Okay.
So I'm loving the competitive sort of nature about it. Like these. I'm seeing these like in a 4-player couch co-op game. Mm-hmm. You got the 4 old timers who are all like trying to get the most ducks around their place because they're lonely.
Sure, but you could have a pigeon mode too.
Yeah, I'm seeing in like the single player version. It's basically about this friendship that gets started by the ducks.
Okay,
and the whole idea about trying to feed the ducks and all this sort of stuff is to try and get the attention of this other
duck lord.
Of this other person. Then you basically, it's the only thing that you seem to have in common. But
right. Okay.
You're lonely and you just want a friend.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I could see that happening. So the basic mechanics stay the same. Of the more ducks eat your bread, the higher, the more points you get. But as that's going on, you're having these discussions with this other person who sits by the lake with you every day as well. Gets closer and closer every day as you become friends.
Yeah.
Until the Duck Lord deems to
split you two apart.
Bless you with its presence and give you a boon, which is a friend.
Yeah, but the worst part is that you work out that the Duck Lord is actually the Dark Lord, and like happens to have possessed all the other ducks, and then it just becomes like a first person shooter sort of thing. Well,
no, then I don't think the mechanics change. I think then you're just giving them like poison, magical death bread. 3, 2, 1, click.
The Dark Duck Lord.
The Duck Lord. Duck Goose Lord.
Bin.
Translator. All right, there are a few ways we could go with this. Because it's sort of language based, I'm thinking we stay away from coming up with mechanics around that because it's always so sort of iffy.
Yep.
So I'm thinking this is a game where, in a similar vein to the last one, almost, you're making a friend, but you don't speak the same language, and the way that you meet this person, the time that you see them is when you're putting your bins out, or when you're putting things out in the bin. And I think you live sort of like in maybe an apartment complex or like a duplex or something.
Just be careful here because I'm getting a little bit of a stalker vibe.
No. I'm just saying when you happen to be out there throwing something in your outside garbage bin, when you live in like apartments or like a duplex or something, right? Like there's a bunch of people along there. And you just walk outside to put something in your bin.
Mm-hmm.
And when your paths happen to cross with this other person, you sort of start off by just, nodding and whatever. And you try to talk to them and you realize, oh, we don't speak the same language. But you start getting a sense of who they are by what they're putting in their bin. And I'm not saying you search through their bin.
Okay.
I'm
Can
saying
I
it's
put a
these
little wrinkle on this?
All right.
The reason why you don't speak the same language is because you're from different planets.
Okay, sure.
This is set in like an intergalactic hub sort of thing.
Yep.
And just the idea of you happen to see that, they like the same sort of food that you like. They like all these different things that your character...
You like glob jobs too? They're my favourite.
And then, the idea of having like a friendship sort of almost start to blossom from this similar sort of stuff, but it's very otherworldly.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's an interesting direction we could take it, and I like the idea of it's still just this kind of almost like suburban sort of feel to it, right?
Yeah.
But it just happens to be that you are two different species of alien, and if you look in the sky, you see, 3 moons. Depending on the time of month.
Yep.
Between 1 and 3 moons. Different sort of hue to the colour based on that.
I can sort of see that yes, you can see 3 moons, but the planet actually has 14. It's just that you only ever see 3 at once at max.
Well, I think they're just the close ones, right? Or the biggest ones.
Yep. The other ones are kind of small and
yeah,
I don't know. I'm sort of seeing like, again, one of the things I do like sort of that I keep on bringing up every now and again anyway is like this other story of something bigger happening in the world.
Maybe. Although
sort of
for this, I was kind
just on newspapers and that sort of stuff. It's not like it's on the background on the TV or something like that. But
right, just really subtle.
Just subtle.
Maybe it could just be that, like, because I think it starts with the bins. But you don't have to. It doesn't have to be that literally every interaction with this other person is over the bins. It's just that's the beginning of your friendship. You start
pick up the mail. It's
and you start just hanging out. Like maybe you're both sitting on your respective porches, looking up at the moons and the space battles that are occurring around, Plexiflon B, the second moon. And
I've got to say, that's a
background.
really cool name. How did you come up with Plexiflon?
I don't know. It's the medication I'm taking currently. No, I'm just kidding. No, yeah, like, and there you go. That can be your kind of background politics stuff going on. There's just these like giant space battles going on, but you're just, you're in the suburbs.
The people from Plexiflon A don't like the people from Plexiflon C, and Plexiflon B is just in the middle.
Yeah, that's it. You're on Plexiflon B. And you're just watching, you just sort of see that happening in the background. But yeah, I kind of like the idea then that it's just this friendship that gets established throughout these. And I think the gameplay can actually be quite simple. Look, I'm almost getting a Florence vibe.
Yeah.
Where you're just sort of doing these little interactions to move this relationship forward.
I like that.
And it may not even be. It may be very linear. Like you could put some different branches and stuff in there if you wanted. But I think it's just telling this story of of this friendship, and they never speak, right? They never communicate outside of looks and, gift giving and watching the other person and seeing what they're doing.
Yeah.
Getting a sense of their life.
I'm almost getting a sense of, like, I haven't actually played the games, but I kind of see this as almost like a Animal Crossing sort of thing as well, in the fact that, it's all about the relationship here, but it's also about some other things that you can set up about your character, about, things that you may actually like, that you can actually go out and sort of have some sort of influence on your character. But that gets reflected in what your new friend actually also happens to like as well.
Yeah. You could put you wouldn't want to go full on kind of having to manage your whole day in that way, I don't think. But yeah, you've got kind of some little tasks to do each day, to sort of keep your life moving forward. And, part of those tasks, or maybe when you finish those tasks, it's like, oh, now I get to I'm going to go out on the porch and see what the neighbor is doing. Jeremy. Which is a very alien name in this world. It's very strange.
I kind of like the idea that Jeremy is actually from, like, Alpha Centauri or something like that.
Well, it's spelled GER apostrophe MEE, but it is pronounced Jeremy with a very flat accent.
So I really want to see, like, the interface between these characters is all just gestures. Like, you got the eye roll, you've got smizing of the smiling with your eyes.
Sure. Yeah, you can point at things. You can, give a.
I kind of like the idea of this being a point and click, and what you're actually doing is you're telling the character where to point with the mouse button.
Yeah. It could be interesting to have some actual interactions there with having to gesture like that, where literally it's pointing at this and then pointing at that, and having, seeing if your friend can understand what you're trying to have them do or tell them.
And they also have some things in which, they point at something and then they point at their belly, and you think, oh, they eat comic books. They don't.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's it. You also find out a lot about their species.
Oh, God.
And how many,
kind of cool and
mouths
funny.
They have. Yeah, I like it. That's cool. All right, so which one click?
Chip.
Editor. Sorry, my mind immediately went to some sort of interface where you're literally, like, creating, like, potato chips and setting the ruffle amount.
And how parabolic
how seasoned
they are.
Yeah, like all the algorithms that go into determining the chip. That could be right. We can run with that. Could be about then how well they sell,
the thickness, the thinness.
Yeah, how thick you cut the potato beforehand. Like, are they baked? Are they fried? What's the seasoning? How much seasoning?
How many times do you fry them? Are they twice fried?
Yeah,
so you get that
quintuple
nice
baked, twice fried, half seasoned.
Half seasoned.
Chickpea chips. I don't know. It doesn't have to just be potatoes. Corn chips, sweet potato, quinoa.
What I would do for some sweet potato fries right about now. Just a bowl of them.
Yes.
Yeah, I got nowhere else to go with that. That's just awesome.
All right, 3, 2, 1, click. That was the game. That's all we needed.
Export.
Save. It's just a fucking word processor.
Oh, God. Okay. Ooh.
Yeah.
So I'm picturing this as in a sci-fi sort of thing.
Okay.
We may have actually gone down this route before, but I don't know. I like the idea that your neighbor, like you haven't seen her husband around for a while.
Okay.
And you start like asking her what she sort of does for a living and that sort of stuff, and she sort of tells you about her job in like cryostasis and all this sort of stuff, and you start getting a little bit of an idea that maybe something has happened to her husband.
Something shifty's going on.
But what's actually happened is he had, like, I don't know, terminal cancer or something like that, and she's actually just, like, exported his psyche into like an AI,
okay,
sort of thing, and it's almost a just a story that I'm sort of seeing it almost like. Your character thinks that there's something a lot more sinister sort of going on, a la your Hello Neighbor sort of thing. And just finding out about, this horrible thing that's happened to this couple. And she's sort of done something, that's somewhat out of the ordinary.
But is actually just perfectly moral and like, to help her husband.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know I'm almost a rear view,
rear window,
rear window sort of feel to it.
Yeah. Okay. This does feel a little bit like some we've kind of done in the past, but I think it's different enough, and I think the sci-fi kind of AI thing is interesting. Yep. Gameplay wise, I'm almost picturing. Are you like? Is there a bit of kind of Orwell, like you're hacking into her stuff and getting access to some of her emails and computer files and that sort of thing, and figuring out through that what's going on.
That, and then there's like an action sequence in which you're sneaking through a house and that sort of stuff, but you've got basically her whole house is automated.
Right, okay. So you're having to like hack into door systems and things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. It's this espionage game where there's literally nothing untoward going on. That's what you find out. But obviously, that gives you a nice narrative arc for
nice
what
narrative
this
hook
doing.
To sort of come in and say, yep, this sort of stuff is actually going on. In mysterious circumstances, this guy has gone missing. One night you saw her dragging like what looked to be a body down the stairs and out into the back of her truck sort of thing.
Yeah.
And,
when you track it down, it was actually just like a ton of cables and stuff that was required to like upload his consciousness at the right quality into the computer. Well, because then I like the idea that as you get closer and closer to finding out what's happening, you literally like find the consciousness and start talking to it. And maybe you don't realize at first that it's literally like the husband within the computer.
Yep.
Whether you think you're literally talking to the husband and you found him and you're like, where has she got you? I'm in her apartment.
I kind of like the idea that some of the hacking things that you actually do, you can actually damage the AI.
Oh God, that's harsh. Yeah, that gives you the bad ending though. You finally find out what happened, and that she was just trying to save the consciousness of her husband, and through your snooping, you have like given him brain damage.
But what I'm thinking is, you really have to fuck up every little mini game and that sort of stuff, but you can do irreparable damage to this AI. Because I think at first, like, the AI doesn't have like the brain power, and as she puts more electronics in, like, she can get it sort of getting a little bit more personality until finally it becomes this sentient sort of artificial intelligence.
Yeah, that's cool. It slowly picks up more and more of the raw data that she managed to export from her husband's brain, but it kind of can't use it until she's built it up enough to the point where it can sort of access it all at once and actually be a sentient being. But then, you've obviously got things like, why is this woman next door? Like, you get access to her freaking shipping receipts and stuff. It's like she's getting all of this hardcore tech coming in, and
just also like she's getting her like the power bill accidentally gets delivered to you. You open it up, and it's like this massive power bill.
Yeah,
that it sounds like she's got some crazy scientific experiments going on in her house and all this sort of stuff, but in reality she's exporting petabytes of data out of this guy's brain.
Yeah, exactly. I'm almost getting a Gone Home-ish vibe where, you know, a lot of it's maybe done in first person and you are just kind of picking up, there's a lot of world building done just by all the objects in the world. And as things, you know, like, yeah, the mail's arrived. Oh, hey, wait a sec. This is, you know, for the next door. Okay, open it up. Like, check it out. You can kind of rotate it around in your hands and read it. It's not, you know, it's just giving you, the player, this information that you can kind of do with what you will.
Yeah.
But obviously it's driving you towards there's something sinister going on next door. And like Gone Home, spoiler, like, it's sort of, there's a bit of a twist into something a bit more wholesome. I kind of like the idea that maybe you get a bad ending where if you really get immoral and fuck with this woman's stuff, she hates you because you basically killed her husband, through your meddling. But there's a good ending where you kind of just subtly figure out what's going on and also start talking to her more and once you find out what's happening, you sort of make friends with her and.
Well, yeah, I'm seeing it in like the vein of tonight. It's a lot about friendship and the fact that you thought one thing, but it turns out that this woman is actually, you know, trying to save the memory of her husband and you know, fulfill his dying wish.
This has been a very like friendship-full episode, hasn't it? Yeah, Trevor, I forgive you for those first fucking terrible games. It's okay. We were both at fault. We can be friends again. We can keep the podcast going.
I think we can.
All right.
Before we finish off with another one, I want to pitch something at you.
Okay. Is it a baseball?
No. So on a podcast a little while ago, I heard this story. I haven't seen the trailer for this thing at all. Okay. But there was I think a show on Netflix about the Winchester Mansion.
Okay.
Have you heard about this?
No.
This thing? No. It was a My Brother and Me thing that they.
Oh wait. All right. Explain further because I do now vaguely remember.
Yeah.
Yes,
so the Winchester Mansion is basically the owners of this mansion owned like the Winchester rifle, or the guns company.
Yeah.
And the husband kept on adding rooms to this mansion. And basically making it bigger and bigger and bigger, as the wife basically, I think supposedly she had like a mental illness and all this sort of stuff, and she was haunted by all the victims of like gun violence and that sort of stuff. But I'm just picturing this idea of this sprawling mansion and having sort of like a ghost story within this mansion.
Okay.
Kind of just weird, like higgledy-piggledy rooms sort of all meshed together that sort of, I know, I could see it almost staying, some of the rooms like move around a little bit, a la like Cube, if you remember.
Yes. The
movie Cube where things sort of moved around. I kind of see it that way, that you could really fuck with the perceptions of like this thing in the mansion. So what sort I've been watching a lot of Ghostbusters because my son is really into it right now. So I'm sort of getting this idea of this ghost / the Winchester Mansion / like, you know, having to try and find a little girl who got lost in the mansion on the tour or something like that.
All right. That's an interesting idea. I kind of want to take it because for a mansion like that, for all that weird sort of stuff, I kind of want to, I'd rather be responsible for building it than exploring it. Or maybe it could be a kind of asymmetrical multiplayer sort of thing where one person gets to build this fucked up mansion and the other person has to find their way through it in some sort of, to reach some sort of goal. Or yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of just getting this vibe of being basically like build this house in extra dimensional space because you can like fit a larger room into a small closet and this thing. Like shift them around as people move through it, and you can just say, okay, well, this door actually connects to this door over here on the other side of the house, just to completely fuck with the people who are inside and their sense of location, you know.
I like the idea that it's kind of like a fucked up version of Super Mario Maker.
Yeah, yeah.
In the fact that, yes, you can create a closet right here, and in this closet you can have a ballroom, And that ballroom can be then connected to all these other rooms that then connect to the closet beside the original closet that you moved into.
Yes. But there has to be a way to get in and find the goal and get out.
Oh God, I'm just picturing like how, like there's got to be some other things that you can put into this room to make it somewhat.
Right, so let's go down this path, of building a haunted house, right? And I'm picturing controls that let you do things like set triggers to, when a person walks through this doorway, the chandelier shakes and, a ghostly form appears in the mirror. And that's a pretty minor, that's a pretty minor thing. Maybe you've got a certain amount of like ectoplasm and you can use it to do things like fit larger spaces into small, into places they shouldn't otherwise be able to exist, or connect one door to somewhere physically impossible elsewhere in the house. And that it really comes down to using that ghostly resource to do these fucked up things.
You know what I really want to give the designer the chance to do?
Mm-hmm.
Write scripts. As in,
okay,
like sort of like your Lua scripting or your Python scripting.
Yeah.
That basically they then have like a full system in that they can add their own graphics and that sort of stuff in.
Well, I think you could go. I feel like you could do that, but at that point you're almost just giving them a cut down game engine, and you may be limiting the accessibility of it. But I do like the idea of giving them,
or like a Steam Workshop sort of thing.
Well, I'm almost thinking giving them a visual scripting language where it's not full on Lua or Python or whatever, but you can set up scripts with loops, or if this then that, based on triggers, based on almost a very basic version of like Blueprint for Unreal Engine or something as well. Like you're kind of just hooking these nodes together.
Yep.
In relatively simple ways, but it gives you a lot more control over what you can then do, and you can then just like write arbitrary things on the mirror in blood as they appear out of nowhere. When after the toilet's flushed 3 times and water's, I don't know, whatever. You can do all sorts of different things. And yes, I do like the idea then, and maybe that is the more Steam Workshop-ish aspect of it, is more advanced people can bring in new objects that you can then kind of download and use in your levels.
Yeah, I'm seeing them as being curated rather than, people being able to put,
dildos.
Dicks and
yeah.
Although
in the right situation, I think it could have a legitimate use for a haunted dildo.
Spooky dildo.
I am the
it's
dildo
and glowing.
Of futures past. I don't know.
Don't stick me there.
But I kind of like that idea of. And then I guess it's just about the challenge of, because what's going to be the goal of this? Is it just kind of find an artifact and get out, or is it bust the ghost?
I think it's kind of like, if you think about Super Mario Maker, there's a start and there's an end, and basically it's up to the person who's doing it as to what the sort of goal is, whether it's
what the win
destroy the
is.
boss, whether it's just get to the end. You've got a time limit to sort of get out, or, does this one want to seem more like a puzzle sort of thing?
Yeah, that's interesting, having different win conditions, because then you could have very different types of ones. You could have ones where people are literally building up puzzles to make your way through it. You could have some where you're attacked and you get health and you have to be able to hide or avoid actual beings that are in the level. You could have ones that are just a kind of narrative thing that you do to sort of find your way through, walk through. You've got a bit of almost a gone home-esque thing then, but because they've got that control over the scripting stuff, they can full on like, write a letter or whatever that's sitting there on the counter and have things that give you a real narrative aspect.
Like you've watched The Haunting of Hill House.
Yes.
I'm picturing like a scene almost like in the 6th episode where like there's a scene where you sort of see the father coming along in the middle upstairs where he's looking for the wife, and then he turns around and there she is. Sort of, she was just in front of him, but now she's behind him. So he turns around and follows her around, goes around, finds a dead end, and she's not there. And it's like he turns around and there she is again. Just being able to set up scripting like that, and
exactly.
And just, I can imagine people, making something like the PT game, that trailer that came out. That was for the
Kojima one, wasn't it?
Yeah. I can see people being able to make things like that, while other people will have it more like a goofy sort of spook house
sort of thing. Or, yeah, for sure. Having things jump out, and no, I like that. I like this kind of haunted house maker idea, and there are a lot of different things you could do with it while still keeping it to the constraints of ghostly stuff.
I like the idea that every single level starts out the same, in that you walk into like this huge mansion, and it's just like the same old looking entrance hall. But then as you open up the doors to the sides, like things are totally different every single time.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know that you want to necessarily, given that we've been talking about how much freedom they'd have, limit them to the one entrance, but maybe you get set themed entrances or something, right? Like you've got
you've got like
mansion.
seven entrances to choose from, depending on whether you want an upstairs area at the start or whether you want other things happening.
Well, and I'm just thinking, do we want to limit it to a mansion? Like maybe they just want to walk into a kitchen of someone's house.
So in this game, you walk into a 2-bedroom apartment.
Yeah, well, that can be spooky shit in the 2-bedroom apartment. Dildos, that's the way that comes in. It's your mum's apartment, and you found a dildo.
No.
That's scary. No, it's whatever.
Is there something you want to tell the audience? Because
parents have healthy. Whatever.
Did you find something in your parents' bedroom that you shouldn't have been
recently? Sure, let's do one more.
Okay,
let's do one final. Click a pitch. 3, 2, 1, click.
FUSS
Jnr.
Okay. I'm trying to think of like a character.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm seeing this as like a kid's brand or something like that. But
okay.
The character's name is sort of like a SpongeBob-y sort of character, but it's named FUSS Jnr.
FUSS Jnr. Yep.
Just trying to think whether this
secretly
character is...
FUSS stands for fucked up short sailor. But that's only known to the writers of this actual kids show. So FUSS Jnr. is like the child of a pirate captain.
Okay, yep.
And has, I guess, like while his father is out is pillaging, then FUSS Jnr. has his own little adventures with his friends on the boat. Kind of, you see the pillaging happening in the background of the story.
Yep.
But it's sort of this like Muppet Babies kind of thing where like you just sort of know that the adults are there, but this is the story of the children on this pirate ship or something.
Okay, so
or FUSS
what I'm
Jr.
picturing
is Octopus Pals or something. I don't know.
FUSS Jr. is sort of like this childish sort of character, and you don't really get to meet the father till close to the end.
Okay,
but I like the idea that these young kids sort of go on this adventure with FUSS Jr. and he sort of takes them off to see these magical things where there's lots of singing and dancing and adventures to be had. Mm-hmm. But when the father sort of comes in the late end game,
like come and pick up FUSS Jr.
Yeah,
and also loot the
he realizes these kids have sort of been brought under the spell of his fucked up short sailor, where I'm seeing that this childlike mind is actually, sort of like not perverted as such, but
malevolent.
Yeah,
yeah,
and basically has gradually been stealing these kids' souls.
Sure,
because it's got to be fucked up in some way.
Yeah, of course. So the father doesn't realize this, or is this part of?
He doesn't realize that FUSS Jr. has actually escaped the hold on his ship.
Okay. So the father has a son who was cursed by some sort of sea devil.
Yep.
Doesn't know what to do. Keeps him locked up in the hold below deck as he pillages across the seven seas. And these stories are of when FUSS Jr. gets out. Is it like an ongoing thing? It's like, oh, FUSS Jr. got out again. Or is this like more of a story arc sort of thing where this is the first episode, and it starts off as, oh, there's this fun-loving kid, but yeah, like the sort of twist at the end of the first episode is, oh, actually no, he's like perverting their souls and turning them into demons, and the father now has to stop them, and the rest of the. I know you said it's like a kids show. We probably should make a game, not an actual kids show, but
I'm seeing it almost like a sort of a point and click adventure, but sort of dumbed down a little bit. But one of the things is we make sure the ratings are quite hefty, so that people know that this is an adult game, not a kids game.
Yeah, for sure. Rated MA for, strong adult themes and
extreme violence,
strong gore and violence, and strong explicit language.
Yeah. There's like that scene in the second third of the second act where like FUSS Jr. just starts swearing like ad nauseum.
Sure, like why not? He's a fucked up short sailor. What else would you do? He's got a potty mouth.
So FUSS Senior though,
friendly.
Unusual
sailor Sam.
I'm just now thinking, how the hell does he pillage all these things but he's friendly?
Well, I mean, I didn't say it was like morally correct. He just does it with a smile on his face.
So I'm going to be stealing all your shit right now. It's like,
yeah,
I got a smile on my face.
Thank you.
As he leaves, please come again. Oh, I will. Shut up, FUSS Jr.
Oh God, this is going off the
proverbial rails.
Off the sails. So I don't know. Is it just because are you playing as FUSS Jr. or does it switch over to FUSS Senior once you sort of make this have this twist?
I kind of do like the idea that you start off playing FUSS Jr. and you're thinking that you're doing the right thing by getting these kids to come on this adventure with you.
Yeah,
but
you like
really what
bring
you're
them
doing
into a cave where it's like, we're going to find some treasure, kids, and then like it switches over to the view at the end of that first act of as FUSS Senior gets there and just sees all these children with like demonic eyes like tearing into the body of a bear or something. Blood all over.
Can you tell that we're actually parents and
my kids eat bears all the time with demonic red eyes, don't yours? Doesn't yours?
No, he hasn't been doing it lately, but
he's a bit older.
That he's going through.
He's a bit older. He might have grown out of it.
Has lost some teeth.
Well, make sure to boil them in vinegar and bury them under a sunflower, or that those teeth will grow into vicious beings of dark portent, as all children's teeth do.
Yes, but that's why the tooth fairy. I mean, the tooth fairy comes and does that for you.
Well, yeah, but it's nice to do, prepare them for her. That's I like that. Now, can we do that game where the tooth fairy is like
a malevolent being?
No. She's like trying to fight the forces of these demonic children that she knows their teeth are going to like grow into these bestial fucking.
Okay, this is your turn to pitch a game at me.
Gods.
Go. Tell me what this is.
I don't know the game. I mean, you could play Tooth Fairy, I guess, but I just like the world building of that.
No, keep going.
Well, that's it. The Tooth Fairy has to come, deal with these teeth. If she misses a house, then like everyone in the house is going to die because the teeth are going to sprout legs and their own teeth on teeth.
I'm picturing that in in this world, like the Tooth Fairy was given this sacred duty from her parents.
Yeah.
In that she must save the world's children against the ravenous teeth monsters.
The teeth fiends.
The teeth fiends who grow from child's teeth.
Mm-hmm. It's a sacred duty that's passed down generation to generation.
I think what actually happens in the middle of this game is, everything's going along quite nicely, but one kid didn't put out their teeth in like a glass of water or whatever. They lost the tooth on the playground.
Yep. And
just like the parents didn't think to actually put something out. So the Tooth Fairy was never notified.
Mm-hmm.
And now the next morning, shit's gone down, and she's now got to try and
totally. Yeah, she's now fighting fucking teeth fiends.
Teeth fiends. But what teeth fiends actually do is they go and rip teeth out of kids' mouths and create more teeth fiends.
Yes. So what sort of game is this? I'm kind of picturing this could just be the backstory to a pretty cool 2.5D side-scrolling kind of shooting game or something. Yep. You've got like a net, I don't know, to grab them, and then you can do some sort of magical attacks. Because you can't just destroy them. You can't just destroy the teeth. You have to knock their limbs off.
Yeah, and basically revert them back into
actual teeth, so you can then put them through the nullifying process to melt them down into Twinkies, because that's where Twinkies come from. Ground up children's teeth.
Oh God!
All right. On that note, thanks for joining us this week on Bitstorm. It was a very friendly episode to start with, but we did end on demonic children having their teeth pulled out by other teeth. If you want to find us online, the best place to go is podchaser.com/Bitstorm. All of our social media videos and other stuff is up there. Check us out. We're also at 8bit.net/Bitstorm because we are part of the 8-Bit Collective, a fantastic network of other Australian podcasts about gaming and other things. A bunch of great people. We also support each other, and it's awesome.
Talking about Australian podcasts who support each other, the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network is an awesome place that you can find us and a lot of other like-minded individuals. Just a general network that likes to try and help each other out. Search for #AGPN, look for the user AGP Network on Twitter, or look for the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network on Facebook. Finally, we'd like to say thank you to our band Kuradust for allowing us to use the song Mount Defiance off of the album Containment Failure for our opening and closing theme.
Yeah, so thanks again for joining us this week on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger.
I'm Trevor Scott.
And wait, are you from Plexiphon A?
No, I'm Plexiphon D.
Oh, okay, that's good. I would have had to kill you.